Hey guys, welcome to the Garbage Time Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Nolan, and today's podcast is brought to you by Adidas. Stop wasting your workouts and start finding your more with tracking and training gear from Adidas. Fit Smart and Smart Run give you the stats that matter and coach you to improve every step of the way. Search Fit Smart or Smart Run at adidas.com today. So guys, today's podcast is going to be a little different than usual because we're shooting Garbage Time in LA this week, and we're recording the podcast out here as well, and I obviously don't have my producers here today. I'm all alone, so we're not going to fade that pick or do junk mail or do the Brock Lobster cover that I promised you, which I know is disappointing, but I will promise that next week when I'm not sitting alone in a room all by myself, I will do it then, and if Brock wins again between now and then I'll do it twice. You're welcome. I know that's why you're all here. But I did sit down in these exact seats with Jackie and Jeff Schaffer, the co-creators of The League, one of my favorite TV shows, which aired its series finale last night on FXX. So that's great. I think we're just going to jump right into that because it's very exciting. We talked about the process behind making an episode. We talked about how the cast was formed, where the idea came from, how they pitched it, and also some amazing athlete cameos like Marshawn Lynch's, which was a personal favorite of theirs. Take a listen. Thank you guys for being here.
Oh, it's awesome. Look at this.
Crazy. Yeah, this is my studio, and I love it.
I feel like we're one shower curtain away from a porn set.
This is great.
It's really, this is special.
I don't like to travel between jobs, so I just have a curtain. The League is over.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to me?
It's amazing. 7 great years. I mean, you always want to go out and be Barry Sanders, not Brett Favre.
Yep.
So I think that's how we wanted to roll, and I think it's working well. We're having a good season, and I think no one's going to see dick pics. I think we're all good.
Yeah, and I think it's like there's so many shows you go, oh, that's still on. I didn't know that was still on. Why is that still? Why is that still on? We'd much rather have people go, like you're saying, oh, don't end, don't go.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's the biggest way we can disappoint people because we left, that's okay.
Let's go back to how the whole thing started. Where did you guys come up with this idea?
It was her idea. So this is
all
like
good women who love sports, Katie.
So This is like, I don't know, it's like 2006. We're on vacation in Megève, in the French Alps. We finally got a vacation. We're going skiing.
Sounds lovely.
I love how you say that like anybody knows what Megève is.
Megève.
Yeah,
By the way, she speaks French. No one there speaks English, so it was crazy. She sets up a dinner at this really nice restaurant. It's Sunday evening. It's Christmas Eve, and Christmas Eve night in France is Sunday night in France is Sunday day back in the States, and I'm in 2 Super Bowls in my fantasy leagues. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling her that this rich French food is making me sick to my stomach. I gotta use the bathroom. But I'm not using the bathroom. I sneak outside into a snowdrift where I'm standing there with there's no smartphones yet. I'm just calling on my cell phone at great expense to myself to what? I can't alter the outcomes. I just needed to find out.
Need to know.
I need to know. I had to know. So the second time I'm standing out there shivering, I look up and she's standing in the door of the restaurant and she's just going, this is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen.
His lineup was locked. There was nothing he could do about it. He kept calling in to get the scores of the games, and he literally was just stomping his feet in a snowdrift with no jacket.
Yeah.
It just looked like a moron.
Yeah, she goes, this is a great idea for a TV show, and has a happy ending. 7 years later, we did 7 seasons of the show, and I did win both those Super Bowls.
You did?
I won both.
And did calling help you win them in any way?
I like to think it did. Butterfly effect.
Yeah.
If I hadn't called, who knows?
Who knows? Everything could have changed.
Yeah.
I can see a network being a little skeptical about the idea of a show based on a fantasy football league, because as someone who plays fantasy football, the number one thing you hear all the time when you talk about your team is nobody cares about your fantasy team. How did you sell them on the idea?
By the way, that is true. We always say that talking about your fantasy team to someone else is like explaining your dreams.
Yep.
Like, no one cares.
No one
you were
cares.
getting chased. You woke up. You wet your bed. So for us, I don't know. We didn't even worry about it because to us it was like, everyone goes, oh, it's a niche show. It's a niche show. It's a niche show. And we're like, well, 30 million people at that time are playing fantasy sports. That doesn't seem like a niche to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so many shows about priests that solve crimes. I've never met one of those people. That's a niche.
What show is that?
There's tons of shows like that, or doctors that solve crimes.
You're not watching enough CBS.
Psychics. How many psychics do you know?
A ton. I mean, like 3 if you count the 3.5.
There's tons on CBS. Like, that's a niche. Like, someone who goes bonkers on Sunday when their backup tight end scores a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, those are the people we knew.
Gary Barnidge, thanks so much for that.
Gary Barnidge. By the way, he doesn't even have Josh McCown anymore.
I know.
You know what I used to say about Josh McCown? I used to say the McCown brothers are like the Baldwins of the NFL, but there's no Alec.
That's true. That is a perfect comparison.
And now poor Barnidge doesn't even have that. Anyway.
Now that you're done with the league, you want to come right for my show? Because that would crush.
So all we were afraid of, I think, was that someone else was going to do it. We just couldn't believe anyone else hadn't done it.
It is one of those ideas that you're like, did somebody do this already?
No, I mean, and it didn't hurt that when we sent the pilot script to the head of FX that he has been the commissioner of his fantasy league for many, many years.
Yeah.
It seemed like something everyone should be doing. So we kind of kept the concept up under wraps until we sold it. And even the actors who signed on to do the show with us hadn't even read it and didn't know what it was about.
Yeah.
It was great.
And actually, some of them, when they found out, like Paul Scheer didn't want to come into audition once he knew it was about fantasy football because he's a brilliant improviser, but he was like, I don't know enough about fantasy to improvise that. And we said, dude, don't worry about it. Your character, you don't have to know anything.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
But
except
now he loves
fedoras.
It.
He needs a lot about fedoras.
We're right now. But
Paul Scheer is a huge fantasy fan now.
Yeah, he was 1 year, but not even 6 months later, he was ad dropping on his honeymoon.
Wow.
After that, so
wow, you guys changed him.
We really did.
For the better.
I
don't know.
So. He's in multiple leagues now. He really loves it. It's
all
great.
right, good. He'll hit the part where you hate it. And then he'll probably maybe come back and love it again. Right. I'm on a peak right now. I'm about to go down to I might quit next year. I might be done with fantasy. I can't take the heartbreak. I drafted C.J. Anderson second. That was a dumb idea. Why'd I do that?
That was really bold.
Speaking of the cast, how did you put together such an amazing cast? They work so well together.
It was an amazing thing. We just started having dinner and drinks and breakfast with all these people that we thought were funny. We went to see improv shows and talked to people that we knew and asked, who do you think is good and funny right now? And we're looking for people who hadn't sort of done a million networks, sitcoms, and real, sort of real voices. And everybody was great. And it was an amazing thing. We sat down with Nick Kroll. I remember he thought we were buying him breakfast. Still to this day, he's pissed off about it. We only bought him tea.
It was like
so
11
really
o'clock.
Hungry.
It was this weird time where we'd eaten breakfast. It was early for lunch.
But he's like cooler and younger and hadn't eaten breakfast because he'd been out much later doing much better things than we had.
But if he hadn't eaten breakfast and you got him tea, then he must have been, because tea on an empty stomach.
No, but here's the thing.
Nauseous.
But here's what I said to him. I said, you think that you wanted us to buy you breakfast, but the reality of it is you were so disdainful. And I think that came from the hunger that day. So who knows if we would have seen the potential of the asshole that could be Ruxin.
It's a great point.
Had Nick Kroll not been hungry.
But this is,
you
by the way,
feed him. Is he as funny when he's fed?
No.
I don't know.
So, and this is not even like we're not casting a show. We're not officially casting it. We're just like we had this idea for the show, so we're just meeting people.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got around to casting,
the only part we hadn't cast was
Ranazizi.
It was Kevin.
And so we were just bringing people in for chemistry readings, and we brought Steve Ranazizi in to read with Katie. And we're like, oh, that's perfect. And Nick and Mark Duplass, we threw them together. And Nick, who's very agile and is used to sort of winning any of these improv arguments, was sitting there with Mark, and he couldn't get around Mark. And you could see him like in the audition getting like frustrated.
I love that.
Like, I'm not winning here. Why aren't I winning? We're like, that's perfect. That's exactly the Ruxin Pete relationship.
Yeah.
Ruxin's sitting there going, I don't get it. I'm smarter than you. I'm richer than you. How come I'm not beating you? And so that's those little chemistry things. It was like, that's the cast.
It worked out perfectly.
They're the best.
It is amazing.
Like,
they're amazing.
They're incredible. From what I've heard, because I had a couple of them on the show, and from what I hear, that part of the show is scripted and that's partially improvised.
Yeah, so we have a very sort of structured outline with the story, and then obviously things like Mr. McGiblets are not improvised. Somebody needs to actually create
Have
that
the
character,
costume,
name it, make sure that somebody hasn't already created such an amazing creature in some toy store in China.
We need to have a toilet kitchen. You have to build the toilet kitchen.
Yeah, so
Experiment with the toilet
obviously,
kitchen.
obviously the whole show is not improvised, but the thing that I think is really great and why we have such amazing actors is we have a lot of the dialogue being improvised. So we'll put a lot of jokes in there. We know where we need to get to in a scene, but we let them say it however they want to say it. And in there comes magic. And they, the digressions are what's amazing.
And not only that, so we think it's going to be go a certain way, and we know this will work. And then Paul Scheer starts pulling out his phone and going, "Oh, I've got a slam list on this," or Jason Mantzoukas starts talking about, "Oh my God, Whitney Houston's dead," or whatever, and you sort of go,
or my girlfriend Margaret.
My girlfriend Margaret, who is a watermelon. So, anyway, you start to get into these things, but and you're like, "Oh, this is fantastic." So it's the best of both worlds, where you had a funny script anyway, and then you got the funniest people on the planet to start saying things in their own way, and then every scene is a live rewrite.
Yeah.
So they're saying jokes, we're saying jokes, cameras are moving. The closest thing, honestly, I can equate it to is covering a live sporting event, but with comedy. Because we have 3 cameras going, because it could be 6 or 7 people. They're all talking. And so it's like, wait, shut up. Say that again, that's funny. No, don't, like, you're literally doing this, and you already know if we just got what was on the thing page would be fine, but then you get all this other stuff because the guys are awesome. And then you put it all together in the edit room.
How many times do you refilm a scene? Because I mean,
we'll do lots of takes. I mean, we'll do upwards of a dozen takes and different coverage, and we spend a while shooting, but yet when I think about it,
we don't have any time.
We have no time, so we move really quickly. We shoot, so your average network comedy shoots a show in 7, 8, 9 days.
No.
Yeah, it's
Network 5.
No comedy.
Yeah.
No, it's a week.
We don't know. We haven't been there in a long time. We really don't know.
I don't know.
I can't offer any help because our process is very backwards.
Here's what I know is we have less that we shoot. I can register how fast we're going based on the shock on people's faces when they hear that we shoot our show in 3.75 days an episode, which is
all on location.
Absolute on location.
Which means you're moving here. We go here. We go here.
No stages, no sets. Just we're always going in different places. So
that's insane.
It's fast.
Well, a lot of the stats and things you guys say in the show are up to date with what's actually happening. Do you leave holes in the?
Well, we do leave holes. We do shoot on people's backs, so we always have trapdoors, and obviously a lot of green screen that we replace. And then I have to say,
we guess too. Sometimes we guess really right.
Jeff Schaffer is really, really good.
Okay, so here's show 12. The penultimate show.
He's a frustrated offensive
Love that
coordinator.
word, penultimate.
Yes, I wanted to get that in there.
Thank you for that.
So, because I know you use it every episode of your podcast has to use it. So we got it in now. We can all relax. Thank you. So, we had a story in there. It was right after Ruxin's wife had passed away. And so Ruxin's dealing with that loss, and we wanted someone else to be dealing with loss in their own way.
This is going to get very personal, Katie Nolan. Get ready.
I'm ready.
We wanted one of Jenny's team, someone on Jenny's team, to get injured. Not injured forever, but not even injured for the regular playoffs, but for the fantasy playoffs.
Okay.
See how he's backpedaling?
And we picked Gronk.
Where's this? Oh, God damn it.
So literally.
You caused it. You caused it. This is your fault.
We shot this
a whole arc on this episode.
In October. In the beginning of October, Kevin runs in, he hears a scream, and he runs in, and Jenny's like, "Oh my God, he's gone! Who's gone? Gronk! He'll be back for the playoffs, not the fantasy playoffs. Kevin, he's dead.
She's been reading Gronk erotica. She's thinking about going on the cruise. Yeah.
Oh,
she's read Good to Be Gronk, and she knows he hasn't even read the whole thing. She's read it 3 times.
So we shoot this whole little arc
about how Gronk gets injured.
That's going to air on last Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So the 2nd, December 2nd.
You guys are dicks.
So we air this. We filmed this whole thing. We don't have a lot. We run out of time. We always have to cut some stuff. And Gronk wasn't injured yet. And we tinker and all right, let's just lose it. So we lose it. We're up in Seattle to watch we're Seahawks season ticket holders. We'll get to that later. We're up there watching the game, see them destroy Pittsburgh, and then coming back, watching the Denver New England game. And Gronk gets injured. And I just go, holy shit, if we had just left that in, then 3 days later, we had something with Gronk getting injured. We got it so fucking right.
Jeff really loves to be right about this.
Yeah, we were so right.
But so you couldn't have just taken that risk, because if that airs and he's not injured, then you kind of discount your entire 7 seasons of.
Yeah, it was less about taking the risk. The shows are so damn long. Like, we shoot so fast, and then we just cannot ever cut our scripts down, and everything's so funny when we shoot it with the actors, and we just didn't have space for it.
Injury scores. Here's another one that we had. We had a really funny scene where Rafi and Ruxin was trying to set his lineup, and he was trying to decide, should I play Keenan Allen? And Rafi's like, you got to play Keenan Allen. He was the funniest guy on Living Color. And Ruxin's like, you're thinking of Keenan Ivory Wayans. You mean David Allen Greer? No. And Rafi just goes, look, I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is this. you play everyone from In Living Color or Ellen Cleghorn. Those are the people you need to be playing. And it was a really funny scene.
So super funny.
And then Keenan Allen gets a lacerated kidney, you know, like, and is out for the year.
Common football injury.
Yeah. So that one, but the other thing is when things happen and we're still shooting, like right when the beginning of the season, we were shooting and Geno Smith got clocked.
Yeah.
And we were literally shooting a scene that day where Ellie, their little kid, was going to punch Andre. So like, boom, punch him.
God.
And Katie's Jenny comes in and goes, he just knocked you down like Geno Smith. So like, boom, put it in, lock it in.
I mean, we're clearly following the news constantly
and working on our frustrations. Like we had, we ended up cutting out of this. We ended up cutting out of the finale, but they were talking about players. And Andre has a great lineup. He's got Charkandrick West playing against the Browns D in week 16. And Ruxin just goes, God damn it. I draft Niall Davis to injury vulture Jamal Charles. I keep him the whole year. Jamal Charles gets injured, and all of a sudden it's Charkandrick West. Did they just invent a man to screw me? They invented a human being. And that's just me going,
Me too.
Yeah. So frustrating.
Must be nice to be able to just have a show where you can get out all of your frustrations with your fantasy life.
And football life. Season
which is
premiere
basically what we've been doing for 7 years.
Yeah. I mean, the season premiere with Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that. But I have to ask you, while we're talking process, you worked on Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
How does the process for the league compare to the process for those shows?
Writing-wise?
Just, I guess from the birth of a scene to like the...
Writing-wise, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Meaning that whether it's Seinfeld or Curb or the League, it's all story-based. So you think of a funny story, whether it's George getting caught eating out of the trash or something that Larry's doing or something that Ruxin's doing. We come up with a lot of funny stories, and then on a dry erase board, same with Seinfeld, same with Curb, same with the League, we sit there and do this like comedy geometry to try and weave all the stories together in a cool ending. The only difference was with Seinfeld, we take a few days and write the script. With Curb, you'd have a document. I would always have jokes that, because the outline was pretty sparse, and the League's somewhere in between, because it's not just Larry. They've got 6 people, so and we can put more jokes in. But the writing is exactly the same. Shooting,
but they don't look like scripts, so we don't have to do table reads.
Yeah, that was
That's
her
awesome.
genius. She goes, no scripts, no table reads.
Table reads are awful.
No table reads, no network. Network never came to the set.
That's oh my God, that's
They came
genius.
in season 2.
They came in season 2 once. Yeah, they haven't been back.
That's genius.
Also, we never shoot in any nice places.
They're too busy.
Yeah.
So process-wise, the writing is basically the same, and then the League is shot just like Curb, except we use three cameras because we usually have more people in every scene. But yeah, then it's just, here's the stuff. Say it how you want to say it. Make sure you say this. Oh, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. Let's forget everything we were doing and try the opposite.
Same thing. I mean,
yeah.
big board of ideas, going out into the world, meeting terrible people, see people do terrible things sometimes, or usually it's us, and then thinking, we need to do a story out of that.
And that's one of the saddest things now. There's no, like, now that we're done with the show,
Yeah.
like Randall Cobb in the Thursday night game gets who fumbles? The ball gets fumbled in the end zone,
Yeah.
and Cobb lands on it.
Yep.
And so he gets a touchdown, right? Well, in my leagues, on CBS Sportsline, he doesn't get the touchdown
Why?
because they're saying he didn't run it in and he didn't. And I'm like, but it happened. You can't tell me it didn't happen.
Yeah, but it didn't happen.
But it didn't happen. And by the way, everyone else in my league. So I'm just writing diatribe after, and I'm like, this would have been perfect for the show.
So
like,
why don't you just keep going?
we
Just
can't
like
just keep-
one more season. Just one more season.
How about a really mean Christmas special?
What about a movie? How about a movie?
Interesting.
What if you did a
Interesting.
movie?
What if we did a movie?
I would see it.
Really? That's one.
Yep. I think we got 2, 3,
3.
4. I'll buy your
4?
ticket.
That's pretty much, I think, all you need.
That's all you need. That's what
All
they
right.
say.
You
Make
just
sure there's
you just
an audience.
crowdfunded a movie.
yeah. That's why I think a lot of people do a movie. They go, I want at least 4 people to see something.
Is that a thing you would do?
Mm-hmm.
You would do a movie?
I think we would do. I'm not sure if it would be a movie. I think we would definitely like to. It'd be very fun to revisit these guys again.
Yeah.
So
They're great.
Soon.
Great characters.
Like ASAP.
we could all just come to your house.
That would be so great.
I think it's just a more personal level. We could
Yeah.
act a few things out.
Oh my God. Stop
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That
A
would
little.
be
You
the
could have a
best.
little. You could have a league like virtual reality tour.
You have to stop. This
right.
is very exciting for me. What would you guys say some of your favorite... What's a time you were watching them improvise and you were like, that's the best improvised thing I've seen? That it worked in such a perfect way, and you remember it as your favorite improvised moment from the show.
Well, I think
I have a few favorites.
Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson.
Well, that was the thing.
But it was also pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was because it had steps, and this was a few years ago. It was Ruxin and Rafi in a scene together. Mm-hmm. Ruxin, the Scroat Squad is out, so he's dealing with that. He also was having some low T problems. He doesn't want to be a victim of the Scroat Squad. So he enlists Rafi to be his bodyguard, and Rafi says, "Yeah, I'll be your ballsy guard." Like Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. And Nick just goes, "R.I.P." And Jason goes, "Whitney Houston is dead? Oh no, what does Michael Jackson think of this?" And
we stopped shooting for like 22 minutes.
Everything I just told you
nobody could function.
Took almost an hour to shoot.
Oh my God.
Because every time Jason went, so he would start like that. Would go, when Houston's dead, and Jason would go, "Oh no," and Nick would start laughing. And then he would get out a little more. Nick would start laughing.
So then we had Nick get out of the chair. It's great. The quad split of the three cameras and up to the side, but the split of watching the progression. So having first the two of them in the chairs where they're having this conversation.
That's not working.
That's not working. So you finally say to Nick, go in the corner room and turn around. And then
so we can at least get Jason's lines.
Just Jason's lines. But we needed him in there to feed it. And then Nick, his shoulders would shake and he's like, I could see it. I could see it out of the corner of my eye. I could see his shoulders shaking.
Nick had to leave the room.
We had to get him out of the room.
We had to shoot it separately in the end.
It was
amazing.
But
it's like kids at a dinner table when one giggles and then they have the giggles and they can't stop.
Oh, when they break.
I loved the first big scene that we shot with Jason, which was the party in season 2, where he talks about crapping the booze out, crapping a mint, and let's all get the same girl pregnant tonight. Those were all his improvised lines, and just the whole concept of having the discussion of when can everyone drive and what they need to do and how much do they need to shit and how many mints do they need to eat before legally they can get home.
One of my favorites was like in the pilot, which there was a lot of scripted stuff, but there was
toast.
It was just the guys were coming over to Andre's for the draft, and Andre has set up the TV and he's got all the stuff, and he just goes, he wants to do a toast to guys. So he goes, "Guys, a toast," and they just all start clinking. He's like, "No, can you just wait? Just wait. Let me finish." They're great, and they won't stop, and he's getting so frustrated. And it was just like this really. It was the first time the group was really together.
That was improvised.
And
the toast was improvised.
The way they were doing the toast was improvised, and actually. Most of the pilot was very scripted.
But that's the way.
And that really was the moment I think we saw that just the dynamic of how they saw the scene in that way.
But that's the way the show works, which is one of them, like they did that once, but they weren't thinking that was a thing. And then you go, no, that's the thing now.
Yeah.
That's now the scene. Like
that's
keep
amazing.
doing that. Keep going. So you get that little spark, and then you go, let's make sure it's amazing. So because a lot of times they go, wait, we want more of that? We go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's also times on set where they're like, someone will say something and go, well, we can't say that.
I was just going to say, has there ever been like an improvised, and it shocked you and you were like, no.
Half the time,
for sure.
Half the time they
People
go,
apologize, go, I don't know. I can't believe I just went there.
But sometimes it's the other way where they're going, well, we're not going to use that. And we go, oh yeah, we are. And you're going to say this. And they go, really? You go, yeah. And the guys are always surprised, like, what gets in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it really is whatever's funniest is going in. If it's I think the craziest stuff. So they watch the show and they go, "Oh my God, you guys, you used that?" We said we were going. It was hilarious. I know, but it's so wrong. I don't care.
Was there ever a line that you were like, if you can remember, where they said something you knew you had to cut it out?
Yes.
And it was like shocking what the person said?
No, there were things we shot that we knew we could never use. One
Like
I
what?
can't say.
Like
Jason,
what?
Jason. Well, that one I can't say. There's one I have to protect the guilty.
Jason
and then
loves
Jason
to
loves
talk about
Johan Vandersloot, who.
Jason loves to talk about
Rafi.
Rafi loves Rafi.
Can't say it.
In Jason's mind,
JVS is a very cool dude.
Calls him
They hang out.
JVS. JVS.
Love it.
I'm talking to JVS.
So
I was hanging with JVS.
There's a whole thing about him hanging with JVS.
And we're like,
then this year in episode 11, in the animated thing, there was a couple improvised lines that Seth Rogen did that we were told we needed to cut that we were actually really disappointed about that were really funny.
What were they?
Really inappropriate. Cannot.
Just one.
It was about.
Can't.
It had to do with being. It had.
Don't say the name, but you can say what it is, but you can't say the name of the person.
You've been. Whatchamacallit? Oh my God, I'm blanking on the movie.
Well, I think it's probably good we don't say the name of the movie.
Oh no, you got.
No, I don't think you can.
It was. We couldn't do
You're
it because
killing me right now.
I know. I'm killing me right now.
You say the name of the movie because I don't want to be guilty.
I literally.
Well, I know what it is.
Tell me. I'm having.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I'm literally drawing a blank.
I know what it is. Phenomenon.
Oh, Phenomenon. Oh, you've been Phenomenon. That's what it was. It was when Rafi gets the in the animated stuff. Rafi gets the metal spike through his head, and then he can read. And he goes, "Oh my God, you've been Phenomenon. You've been totally Phenomenon." And then there was a whole bunch of stuff about the star Phenomenon that we weren't allowed to.
I couldn't possibly think of what maybe
that FX wanted us to please remove because he was doing one of their shows, which was really funny.
I would not have said that.
Oh.
I would have. But there's also stuff. The general nature of the show is like we trust that it's a lot of trust. We trust that we're just gonna come up with some funny stuff every day, every scene, and they trust that we're always gonna use the best parts and not. Hang
Yeah, we
out
do
to
spend
dry.
a lot of time in editing and making sure we make it tight and funny and great. And hopefully it is.
How do you guys judge? I mean, because you get to the edge with like offensive sometimes. Even where I'm like, wow, I cannot believe they were allowed to do that. How do you know when it's too offensive? How do you push that boundary without crossing it?
I think that boundary is we blew by
you
that
don't care.
years ago.
We always know where the boundary is because we can look back and see it.
It's right where we just
there it
were.
is. There, I can still see it. We always
Equal
are pushing
opportunity
that.
offenders. I think honestly, we're trying to just be funny.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to be offensive to any. We've no soapbox. That's the thing I think works well about the show is that the only goal is to be funny. There's no soapbox.
Stance.
Absolutely
There's no,
not.
Yeah.
This is we are not pretending to be political people or having any social agenda. We're just trying to be funny. Occasionally, people get offended.
And that's
in the way,
great.
But that's life.
But I think we're
That's
never
real,
as long
which
as
is what
we're
it's supposed
if
to be.
we know if we think it's funny and like the cast thinks it's funny.
Do you have to send that to then be approved by FX? Do they tell you
Well,
what to cut out?
they watch the whole show, but they rarely cut things.
There's only been a few things that because it's still basic cable and it's not HBO.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go, you can't do that, or other times they'll go like, you can't show a live animal penis even if it's dead or in a piece, and we're like, that's
I
not.
just disagree with
That's
that.
and we can look and we argued about it for a long time with them, and then
You argued about a dead or alive
Well,
animal
And
penis.
actually, we just
when-
cleaned out our production office, and they were emptying the refrigerators their last day, and they're emptying the refrigerator and the freezer, and there was a deer penis in the freezer that somebody had left there, only on our show.
That happens.
Would you find a
Where
deer
else?
penis?
We don't have
as a prop.
We don't have it's in the
There's
food
not
freezer.
another
There's not a genital.
Separate.
There's not a genital
No,
freezer
it's
in the
in
food
with the
freezer.
fudgesicles
If
and the
you guys-
Trader Joe's peanut butter cups.
If you
it's
win
right in
another
there.
season, you would have invested in a genital freezer because I think
Maybe.
you might need it.
I
Some
don't think we
sort
would
of-
ever
yeah.
have the budget for that. Kate.
a sort of meat locker. So, but the problem is you have to talk about these things. We have long discussions. When Taka was bringing Ruxin to a restaurant that serves animal penis, that you have to show some animal penis.
They
Yeah.
wanted pictures of the props beforehand.
And which is the props beforehand. Luckily, the ostrich penis they didn't even question because it looked so weird.
Yeah.
We just told them it was a prop from a science fiction movie.
Good.
And
good.
they never
Line.
questioned that one because, but they have to eat the stuff, so
Yeah.
we're cutting up sausages, and we're like, these are just sausages.
Yeah.
They're just sausages. And they're like, well, you can't. It looks too much like a penis. Well, it's still just a sausage. I can't make a sausage look less like a penis.
Hot dogs look a lot like penises.
Right,
There's
I'm
nothing
not-
we can do about it. We
Nothing
still
you can do
eat them
about
at ball games. We have to do it.
That's right.
Exactly.
And
You
still,
gotta do
I
it.
feel self-conscious every time I eat a hot dog now.
Well, I just don't like putting mustard on my dick.
Do you like putting mustard on his dick? Let's get into this.
No, it's not. My food play is not my thing. If it was, you would have seen it on the show.
You don't
by
even
now.
like hot dogs.
No.
There we go.
Nitrates, gross.
Yeah.
Good for you.
By the way, I will say you've never seen Jeff more offended at a craft service suggestion that when they brought for second meal the hot dogs in the water. Jeff really doesn't like the hot dog in the water. So
You
the crew would always get
swimming
pizza
in
that
it,
night.
That
Well, because
in
if you
protest, 'cause
boil
Jeff,
it,
Yeah.
it's really gross.
You're not into
that
it.
hot dog sous vide is not good.
you don't have to drink the water. You just got to eat the hot dog.
Oh.
You can pat it dry with a paper. No, not into
Yeah.
it.
Ugh.
Hey guys, more with Jackie and Jeff Schaffer coming up in a minute, but first, got to give some love to our sponsor, Adidas. Ready to ditch the step counters and start getting more from your workouts? Who isn't? But who has the time and money for personal trainers and fancy equipment? Adidas has the gear you need to step it up and find your more. Track the fitness stats that truly matter. I'm not talking about just steps, I mean calories, heart rate, pace, and plenty more. Adidas even gives you custom training plans to load onto your device. They'll push you to new limits that step counters never could. Pair that with a mobile app that syncs all your workout data, and it's a no-brainer, really. This is the first step to a new, fitter you. This Adidas gear is designed to get you more from your workouts from day one. If you're ready to step it up and find your more, visit adidas.com and search FitSmart. or smart run today. All right, back to Jackie and Jeff Schaffer. How much of the Kevin and Jenny relationship is based off of this
Clearly
relationship?
nothing. Clearly.
Well, I will say this.
Not a shred.
So we have a league of the league, which is us and the cast, 8-man league, and she's the only 2-time winner.
8-man league, by the way.
I know.
I know.
I
And we
know.
make fun of it all the time. We can't have more cast members, so we make fun of it. We make fun of an 8-man league in the show all the time because it's like these guys think it's a
I
great
know,
league.
but
It's an 18 league.
I'm going to still celebrate the fact that I'm the only 2-time winner.
Yeah. So she's very good at fantasy football.
It's a shitty accomplishment, but it is an
Oh
accomplishment.
no,
nonetheless.
that's a good one.
It's an accomplishment.
I've never won a league. This is
Oh,
why I'm
that's
like
not-
about to quit. I'm in like second place right now, and I just want to not do it anymore. I should have won by now.
You should have seen when we started this league of the league. Steve Renazizi was the only one who had ever played fantasy before of the cast. So he looks at me and he goes, "Super Bowl, you and me every year Super Bowl." He never sniffed it.
Oh my
He never
God.
Yeah,
sniffed it.
now I guess now it's really sad because he really didn't.
No, because I knocked him out of the playoffs. So Katie Aselton won it the first year. Jenny actually won. It's called
Wow.
the Aselton Cup. She's won it
Wow.
twice. And right now, Paul Scheer set it up. It's this very odd thing where we're doing it. It ends early, and there's a 2-week Super Bowl,
Strange.
and it's back to this again.
Oh my God. So the two of you
Yes.
in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Is this a lineup?
This is the lineup.
Oh, I'm ready
where
for
we're at.
this.
This is the lineup.
What do we got?
Well,
Team
Well-
names. So we've got toilet kitchen.
Yep. She's the toilet kitchen.
Okay. All right.
We always we take everyone has names from the show, and I'm the Yank Bankers
the Yank Bankers.
from
All
show
right.
9 this year.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got Carson Palmer.
yes, and I hate to say, Katie, it's really I mean picking up Scott Chandler when Gronk got hurt.
She had a high priority on the waiver
I
wire.
know.
I have
That's
Gronk.
worked
He's been
out
great for me all
really
week.
well for me.
He dropped.
He had Gronk.
She picked up Chandler just to screw with me.
Yeah, but you have Rawls, and that's a hometown favorite too, and that's enjoyable for you to watch.
I know. It started this thing. There was a year I was like started this thing with like Lynch, and like it was like Lynch and Devonta Freeman, and like and then at one point in the year you're like winning with like not even Charkandrick West. It's Spencer Ware, Thomas Rawls, and like Tevin Coleman.
That
It's like,
waiver. It's
what-
all about the waiver wire.
What happened?
All about the waiver wire. Jeremy Hill. He hasn't been doing half as much as he was supposed to, right?
Yeah.
He did enough last
What
year.
enough.
round did you take him in? Is that your first pick?
No.
No.
Demarius.
Second or
Demarius was your
third.
first pick, I imagine.
But
No.
he was playing the Cleveland defense.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like a
That's just
holiday.
Graham Gano had a big week like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
the Demarius Thomas versus Emmanuel Sanders. That was where.
Yeah, that you really put yourself in a position where like, well, how do you even choose?
That's where.
I hate
Unfortunately, she
those.
that
chose
worked out
right.
well for me.
yeah.
Whereas I chose wrong with Charkandrick West and Spencer Ware. I didn't choose wrong. They did
Why
wrong.
both? Why have both?
They
Well,
played
because
wrong.
It just makes your week more
I know.
difficult.
Because
It's honestly, it's
because
a
of
very
because of that
faulty
cue.
lineup.
Because of that cue. That questionable.
yeah.
Which- questionable.
I thought you meant there was a Q in Charkandrick. You could have told me that. I wouldn't know.
No.
All right, you got Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Yes,
You,
that's a new.
that was new.
That's a new.
I picked
pickup.
that up
was
as
smart.
a mercenary.
It wasn't bad. He did all right this week,
He
right?
did great.
Yeah, crushed
Yeah.
He
it.
was playing Indy.
Charkandrick did nada.
No. That was the problem.
Nada. Oh,
The
you have
touchdown.
Wilson on your bench.
Well, I usually play Wilson.
You
but
better
Shaboy.
apologize to that fathead over there.
Shaboy.
I know. And I love Wilson. And he had been great.
Played Roethlisberger over
Because-
Wilson. Oof.
Indianapolis just lets Roethlisberger do whatever he wants.
Vincent
Well.
Jackson. How's he doing this season?
That's
He
the
hasn't
kind of
been-
joke I would have made on the league and will not make on your podcast.
We did that-
He does what he wants, whether people like it or not.
We did that on the show. We did that show. Allison Williams.
I know.
Allison Williams didn't want Pete. This is like season 3. Was dating Pete and wouldn't let him play Michael Vick.
Yep.
It's like, well, I need to pick
Oh
up
my
a quarterback.
God, I
And
remember
it's like,
that episode.
well, who else here? Who do I pick up? How about Roethlisberger? And she goes, well, has he ever done anything wrong? And Pete looks at him and goes, nope.
It's the only right answer in that situation.
So I'm down 15 for this week.
Okay.
So there's
So
gonna be some
it's like,
desperation.
is it like an
Cumulative
aggregate?
2-week.
Like
Aggregate.
what? That's so weird.
It's so weird.
Paul Scheer set it up. Paul Scheer set it up.
It's like
but
when
here's
there's-
the thing: he set it up before he became really into fantasy.
So he just didn't
But
know.
then he never changed it. He did not know.
All
and
right.
Now we're in this.
So we
very
will let you know.
stupid-
I think I'm spotting you 15 for next week, and I feel good about it.
Oh really?
I love that. Like fold that up and get it away from me, so I
Yeah.
don't keep looking
He
at
did.
your
I know.
awful lineup.
It's
I think she's gonna crush you.
I'm feeling good about it.
Who is the most competitive in the league?
so okay. So
Steve.
So there was a day in the makeup trailer. Steve Renazizi and John LaJoie, who plays Taco, who is
Yep.
Canadian and knows how to do many things: animate, write music, does not understand fantasy football. He understands as much.
So
about,
he really is
yes.
the taco
Oh, yeah.
of the league.
Yes, he is the taco.
Oh my
taco.
God.
In fact, Taco is the taco of the league.
That's great.
So they're in the makeup trailer, and Ranazizi is just, it's Monday morning, Ranazizi's just bitching. It's like, oh, I can't believe it. My team they stunk. I can't believe I lost. This is crazy. I should have done. They all just screwed the pooch. This is terrible. And John goes, oh, that's too bad. He goes, who are you playing? And Ranazizi turns to him and goes, you. I was playing you.
I feel like that was in an episode.
It sounds like it should be.
I think we probably put it in. And that's how, because, by the way, I lost to Lajoie once this he doesn't change his lineup.
Isn't that the worst when you lose to the taco and it's like, am I the new taco?
Yeah, that's always what I would say.
Well, the new taco is Andre, then you're Andre.
Yeah,
that's
what we
you're
always
trying and failing.
That's what we always tell all
Better
our
to
fans.
not try and
if
fail.
you can't identify the Andre in your league, it's you.
It might be me.
It might be you.
Well, so I'm in a 14-team league this year for the first time, and it's all fantasy football experts. And then me, which was a very dumb idea. And I did my draft at Dave & Buster's because I wasn't ready and I was out doing a shoot and I needed Wi-Fi. So I just did all the wrong things and I was completely defeated until last week. I finally won. The guy I played didn't even set his lineup, started guys who were out. So I didn't even get to enjoy the win. I set the high point total and I didn't even need it because I'm doing that thing where I talk about my own fantasy team. I'll move on. Let's go back and talk about the cameos because you guys have had some. First of all, who books your cameos and how can we get them to book guests for our show?
Right here.
Oh my God.
We don't have any fancy system to do anything
You
except
just-
begging for favors.
You just call them?
Yes.
She calls. We have.
I call them. I write them very convincing emails. I get on the phone with them. I tell them why we're not going to make them look bad. You know, all that good stuff.
And it's crazy because when we
It's been great. I mean, we started off with Antonio Gates at the beginning,
the show
Terry
hadn't even
Bradshaw
aired. Oh yeah, we shot here
with Terry.
like season one.
And then from there, it just kind of steamrolled. And then we found out that a lot of players were fans and watching the shows, binge watching them on the plane.
How cool is that?
That was very cool. And then it became an incoming phone call business and people wanting to be on the show. That's amazing. As
incredible.
football fans, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean having and then this year we branched out and had like John Schneider, the GM of the Seahawks, on.
Yeah.
And who was great. And it was like having like Pete Carroll talking about in a press conference about how John Schneider was on our show.
Wow.
It's like
amazing.
And your season ticket was just like, this is
incredible.
Like a dream. And Marshawn, Marshawn took a while and we finally got him. And then he was like, he hadn't talked to anybody like the first time we had him on.
Literally hadn't spoken a word.
No. And we got him there and he's awesome and he's fun and he's talkative and hanging out and signing autographs and like just a super fun guy. We're like, how come you never talk to the press? He goes, I got nothing to say to him. And that's it.
That's
it's
not
like
fair.
Okay. But
super
you
chatty
got
on
him
our show.
to do you didn't just get him on the show and get him to be funny, but you got him to address the play from the Super Bowl that like no one was really talking about yet.
That was
How did you do that?
We just honestly we wrote the scene up, emailed it to him and his manager.
Well, let's
his
take a step back.
agent.
What it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. What the scene was supposed to be.
Oh yes, let's tell you what it was supposed to be. Katie.
What it was supposed to be
before the Seahawks won the Super Bowl and then gave it away.
When after Curse made that catch, what it was going to be was a Marshawn Lynch. I'm going to Disney. What do you do after you won the Super Bowl?
How long after the Super Bowl? So he was booked before the Super Bowl
we
happened?
We just knew in our head.
Okay.
We were gonna. He'd already been on the show once.
Yeah.
And he said he wanted to come back and do it again.
Okay.
So we were going to have him go to the EBDB B&B instead of Disneyland.
Yeah.
And we were very excited.
And that was about to happen. And then that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. No. So what did? But just to be clear, what did happen? In the Super Bowl?
I'm pretty sure I blacked out because we were there in Arizona. I remember waking up in like an alley in Scottsdale with my pants around my ankles. That's what I remember. And it was like 3 days later.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a dark February. So
the Pats won, just to be clear for anybody who doesn't know. The Patriots did win.
Interesting.
That game.
Or the Seahawks won and then they gave it to the Patriots.
So the Seahawks lost it and the Patriots won it is the outcome.
After we sort of worked through our issues, like we were like, well, what are we going to do with Marshawn? And it was pretty clear what we were going to do. And we're like, well, we have to talk about that. Like everyone in the world is still talking about it. Like, we got to do it.
It was great that he wanted to, and he has a great sense of humor about it. He did say, am I going to get fired for this? And he said, don't worry, John Schneider's shooting next week. We made sure it was cool.
Also, you got $12 million guaranteed. I don't think they're firing you.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, he was totally game.
That's crazy.
Totally
to me.
game. And it was like, to me, that is like the culmination. Like you do a show, like we did a pilot, right?
Yeah.
We shot a pilot, and we didn't think anything was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, 7 years later, you've got like your favorite guy from your favorite team talking about like the biggest moment in the Super Bowl, like on your show, and he would have never done it on any other show.
Yeah.
And I was like,
great.
okay, we're done. That's good.
So like 6 more years, and we'll get Tom Brady on the show. Is what it's sounding like.
We tried for our
me.
We tried for a Deflategate episode. He was busy.
Oh, shocking!
Yeah.
I'm shocked
We
that
tried.
you couldn't get through. I mean, I believe that you are very convincing, but that's a very difficult email. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
difficult booking.
That's a higher level than we could do.
Not in my pay grade.
Who were your favorite athlete cameos? And this is kind of a weird question because I want to know who, like, behind the scenes was the nicest and the coolest, and also whose performance surprised you the most.
I mean, listen, there are so many guys that I really liked. I mean, I think, everybody from Randall Cobb was amazing, Golden Tate. I have a soft spot for Antonio, who was super sweet and helpful. I mean, we've at the beginning and taking a chance on us, first season when nobody had seen the show at all. But when we asked little JJ Watt, actually CA asked me to put JJ Watt on. And they said, you should get to know JJ
Season
Watt.
5, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They said, you should get to know JJ Watt and you should put him on the show. I think he'd be great on the show.
Yeah.
And he came and he was an amazing actor. He was a super nice guy. And unlike a lot of the cameos where they just shoot for a couple hours, JJ shot with us for several days. For that Vegas, the Los Angeles wedding episode, when Trixie and Andre are set to get married.
Yeah, because he was in both. He was in 1 and 2.
Yeah, he was in episode 1 and 2. So he actually had quite a big role that season and a lot of work. So he was around for several days. Super nice guy.
How many old ladies did he help cross the street while on set?
I have to say, he is the nicest. He is truly the nicest.
He's like a super nice person who just got
Super
put.
nice.
He got put in the 125% machine.
Yeah.
He's just
Amazingly
like,
nice.
He's just bigger
Wow.
Amazingly nice.
and funny and like giving it, like he's getting it and he's giving it back and like oh,
Really wanted you to say he was a dick in real life.
No, he was so nice, and he was even so gracious. There was a friend of mine, I was going to set him up on a blind date. He really wanted to go out with her, and she said, no, I don't want to go out with an athlete. I want to go out with like a nerdy guy. I did not believe her, by the way. And I said, that's insanity. That's not true. And he was so lovely when she turned him down, when she literally turned JJ down. And I was mortified because I thought, like, this is great. These two are going to get married, and they're going to make superhuman-looking children. It's going to be like Tom and Giselle. It's going to be amazing. And then I saw her with her nerdy boyfriend at a football game, and I thought, well, I guess, but she's, he's JJ. He's amazing.
Turn down a date with JJ Watt.
I know.
Yeah.
It's honestly the stupidest thing I've ever seen any human do. Yeah.
He was awesome.
He's awesome. He's the nicest guy.
I
and funny.
believe it.
Really
Super
funny.
funny.
Is he both of your favorite guests that you've had?
Well, I think Jeff is a hometown.
I mean, Marshawn. I have to say, Marshawn, just because we got to just fool around with Marshawn, like that was to me, it was like the coolest thing. JJ was the best actor.
For sure.
And like best like improviser, but everyone's pretty good. I mean, here's the thing: a lot of times they get nervous in the beginning, and they're like, "Oh, because they're so used to a public persona and being nice." We're like, "No, we want locker room you."
Yeah, Terrell Suggs had no problem doing that.
Terrell Suggs, he's right on. He's
Least
funny.
nervous guy.
Terrell Suggs, by the way,
Super funny guy.
super funny.
He was great on the show.
He's really
Like,
funny.
no-
That
Navarro,
impressed
but-
me. I didn't expect him to be so
He's
funny.
a really funny
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
But like, so sometimes they get nervous, and so the guys, what we do, it's really simple. Like if they're nervous in the scene in the beginning, and when you get nervous, you talk a little quieter and whatever. Is our guys just start really picking on him, like on camera.
Yeah.
And they go, "Wait, what?" And then they go, "Oh, I get it. Okay,
So we can do this.
that's
here.
what we can do.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you're, okay, great." And then it's just, and everyone's always had a good time, and we always set up. It's very simple. Like our guys are always going to look like idiots. You're never going to look like an idiot, and just be yourself, and just give them shit,
Yeah.
and have fun. We had more people wanting to do the show than we could ever
And there's
realistically
so many
write
people
in.
we never even got to. Just a real shame.
And then there were people from like other sports that like, "Oh, but I play fantasy. I want to be on a moment." I was
Like
like,
Euclid was like a huge
yeah,
fan.
I was
of
like,
one of
I don't
his
even know
videos.
how to
So
do
many
this.
people.
Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, we left some baseball players, some hockey players, and a whole bunch of punchers on the table.
If you want to send them our way, we'll take your scraps. We've booked like 3 athletes. It's a struggle. I got to learn to send emails. You should teach me how to send some emails.
Very, very charming emails.
I bet.
Very charming emails.
I could talk to you guys for hours about this, and I think I almost have, but I'm going to let you go. We end every podcast with something called the Garbage 10.
Great.
We have time for it. I'm going to make you fly through it. We're going to do
Great, we'll do
rapid
it.
fire. And you can each you'll answer for it. We'll just go this way. Yeah, whatever.
Got it.
Okay. Number 1. What was your first AOL screen name?
Oh, easy. Ebola Jeff.
Oh, easy.
And still is.
Now I'm Ebola Jeff at
what's yours?
Mac.com. I was very happy with it. Now I can't use my email at an airport. Anyway.
I'm really nerdy. I think it was like Jackson something. It's a nickname from growing up.
All right. Ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
Blue cheese.
And you guys work. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Ranch is more fake.
I will say the Cool Ranch Dorito is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life.
Are you out of your mind?
And the fact that he likes them and eats them,
I will eat those.
Honestly, it's hard. It's like being married to a smoker or something. I cannot. Cool Ranch
Nacho
Doritos
cheese or salsa verde is like a smoker.
Oh my God, nacho cheese is even worse.
No, you can't brush it out though.
No, you
cannot
cannot.
brush Cool
and
Ranch
it stays
out.
on the fingers.
Yeah.
It's so foul.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
It stays on
so
the fingers
gross.
in the best way. Sometimes under the
So-
fingernail, you get that a little bit
That's
later.
too hot to handle. Go back to that episode.
What's the first concert you ever went to?
Oh my God. Wang Chung, Points on a Curve.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wang Chung.
I was invited by someone and I went. It's like, oh, I'm going to a concert.
That's awesome. Jackson 5 at the Dodger Stadium.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Your answers are much cooler than mine. Who's your favorite superhero?
Daredevil.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
All
Because
right.
I used to like all the old. I used to look at read all those when I was little. I never liked the DC ones. Those guys were always too clean and neat.
Yeah, I don't like DC.
I like the messy
Marvel's
ones.
better. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really a superhero person.
No.
No.
All right. So
No.
Daredevil.
No.
Done.
Daredevil. James
Taken.
Bond. James Bond's the only superhero.
Real life
That
superhero?
counts. That
Yeah,
counts.
totally counts.
Do you put ketchup on top of your fries or on the side of your fries?
On the side.
Side.
Okay, good. What's your guilty pleasure television show?
Oh.
She
We
doesn't. it's
share
only,
some of them.
She only it's only guilt for her.
There's no actual good
There's
No,
television.
that's not true. I mean, in post Mad Men and post other things ending, you have to turn to some lower grade pleasures.
Such as?
Oh, what about the South Carolina one? That's the one.
Oh God, Southern Charm. Honestly,
Southern Charm. Those guys are hilarious. They had
because
no
all
idea.
of them should know better. They should all.
but they didn't know better because
No.
they hadn't ever.
Wasn't one of them on The Real World?
Yeah, the
Yes.
girl.
Yeah.
She knows better, but
She knows better. She convinced the other ones to
Yeah.
go along.
Yeah.
That's that one.
Jeff and I enjoy ourselves a good little bit of TMZ.
Yeah.
What about TMZ Sports on FS1?
Oh.
They air
Interesting.
right before us, after us. All right, those are good ones.
Yeah.
Southern Charm's a bad show.
Oh, it's
They filmed their
hilarious.
reunion where we film our show, and
Yeah.
they just got in fights, and there was crying.
But by
Yeah,
the way,
they seem
I'm
to be
surprised
surprised.
they didn't give them a set for the reunion. Didn't they just bring them into Andy's clubhouse or
Yeah.
something?
yeah, that's where. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Andy's clubhouse is in
Those
our
guys
building.
seemed very surprised that the things they did were filmed, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, like
they-
how do you not?
they didn't
know that. That's
They were
a-
not aware, and that was
No, we had a
awesome.
we ran into Whitney in Los Angeles and made the mistake of telling him we liked his show, and he was very, very overserved. And we had a very enjoyable evening getting to know Whitney and realized, oh my God, it's the one reality show where they are not faking it.
That's crazy.
The guy is
I've never understood in reality shows and like, let's sneak off to the beach and maybe sleep there together. It's like, we're filming you. We know what you're doing. Anyway, that's the one episode of that show I watched.
We got lost.
Yeah, exactly.
I've
Sure
seen
you
all
did.
of them.
Sure you did. Do you floss before you brush your teeth or after?
Before.
Really? Oh, I've been doing it wrong.
So you do it after.
Yeah,
You brush, then floss.
yeah. Because
Then- that's
the
incorrect.
brushing reminds me to floss.
Yeah.
That's incorrect.
If I didn't brush, I wouldn't remember to floss.
That's like
fair.
wiping the wrong way. That's not right.
What? I don't think. Well, I don't know.
It's not hygienic to wipe the wrong way. Make sure you correct that immediately. This is relevant, and you probably won't have an answer for this. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I
would
believe
not eat a hot dog.
I believe that a hot dog is a quasi sandwich because it fulfills the bread function of a sandwich,
Yeah.
right? That it's meat sandwiched literally in between two pieces of bread, but because it's rotated
Ooh.
90 degrees off the axis of a true sandwich, it has to be a quasi sandwich.
I have to say, Nick Kroll's description as Ruxin of what he wants to do to future Ruxin is my favorite description of a sandwich ever. That he's going to slice off his buns and make a sandwich out of his 2 meaty clackers and a sub.
And then make him eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a cousin of a sandwich.
What if this were a yes or no question?
Then I would have to say yes because it's meat between two pieces of bread.
Okay, I'm glad this podcast is almost over. What was the last movie you went to see in the theater?
We
I imagine
just
you went together.
we saw. Oh no! Here's the
A
thing.
real theater?
A real theater. We
Yeah.
haven't. When we do the show, this is gonna sound terrible. When we do the show, which we just came out of. It's like being in a submarine. So we haven't been to a real theater to see a movie. We got to go to a screening a few weeks ago of The Big Short.
Oh, that's
really cool.
Cool.
That was really
good
cool.
movie. You
Yeah,
liked it?
it was really fun. That was super
It's the
cool.
last movie you bought a ticket to.
The Hobbit.
Yeah.
The second Hobbit.
The second one?
Yeah, because that's the last time. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
3D.
it's been like.
Ooh, 3D.
Yeah. I had to go see that.
I like when they're coming at you.
Yeah.
I'm not really into that.
The glasses. I spend the entire time going like this.
Me too.
Like, what's the difference?
It's crazy because back in the day it used to look different, and now it really doesn't look that different.
Right. So then I try turning it off for a little bit, and they go, "I have a headache," and they put it back on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last one. You're about to be put to death, and I need answers from both of you that are
Oh, no.
separate. You're about to be put to death. Final meal: entree, dessert, and beverage.
7 flavored beef from Wild Ginger, this restaurant in Seattle, for the entree. Beverage, probably like a great
Scarecrow.
great red wine. Sure, Scarecrow, red wine, cab, and dessert.
Dessert.
Oh, who cares about dessert at that point? I'd probably just take the bottle. Finish the bottle of wine.
All right.
That's my dessert.
All right.
I'm probably a dozen oysters fresh from Seattle and a bottle of seriously expensive white Burgundy.
And for dessert, what is wrong with you?
Oh, by the way,
guys?
no,
I
she's
love
a dessert
dessert.
scientist. She's like,
Yeah.
oh no, what if try this?
Oh.
How is this one different
I'm
from
not
that
sure.
one?
I'm not sure I ever could pick my favorite dessert. That's really tough. I mean, we're talking: is it Hanson's cake? Is it Mulberry Street white cake? Is it the deep dish cookie pizza pie thing that comes in the pan?
But you have to pick
Nope.
one because you're about to die.
What if we invented an appetizer sampler, but for desserts?
That would work
Where
out
you just
great.
get
That's
all
what she
those
needs.
That would work
desserts.
out
That's
great
what she
for me.
needs.
I think we should do that.
That would
Yeah.
work out
And
great
since
for
you're
me.
about to die, I will do that for you.
Instead of starters, why not have enders?
Yeah. This is somebody write this down. Enders are important.
Yeah, you could have a whole restaurant like that. Enders,
I love that.
just lots of little samples of dessert. You
I'm
start with
into that.
You start with a main course. You skip the appetizers anyway, and then you have lots of little samples.
There's
for
that
dessert.
restaurant Finale.
Really?
And I think that's why they name it that.
See, I always wonder
Just dessert.
at restaurants where people have the appetizer and the main course. I always think about like they obviously they have a dessert chef. I always just think about the dessert chef watching everyone eating the main course and going, "They're not going to have room
They're not
for
going
me.
to have room. Why
Not
are the
gonna have room
meals
for
so
me."
big?
Yeah,
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you
Hey,
for having
really
us.
fun. Really fun.
Can you
Yay.
please do another? Can you do a movie?
We'll do
Yes.
Can
something.
you please do a movie?
Even if it's a home movie in your house, we will do it.
I would actually prefer that. If you could please.
Just a small
Deal.
school play in your
Awesome.
backyard.
Deal. Thank
So
you guys
fun.
so much.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank
this was
you.
awesome.
All right, guys, that's it for this week's podcast. We'll be back next Thursday in New York with our normal routine. And as promised, either 1 or 2 Brock Lobster songs. I'm so excited. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes and rate it. Leave a comment if they're 5 stars and your comment is that we're great. Or listen on SoundCloud or Stitcher or however you like to listen to podcasts. Big thanks again to Jackie and Jeff Schaffer for being here and to all of you guys for listening. Bye. Love you. Mean it.